this is probably a little bit of a catch-up, that we didn't have everybody all in, where we'd missed some folks or whatever on the last briefing, but we've had 20 additional deaths. My gosh, I hate this. I hate this so bad. But we're up to 7,470 deaths in West Virginia. The 7,451st death is an 82-year-old female from Jefferson County. The 7,452nd death, a 78-year-old male from Randolph County. The 7,453rd death, a 63-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,454th death, an 85-year-old male from Randolph County. The 7,455th death, a 92-year-old female from Wayne County. The 7,456th death, a 61-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,457th death, a 77-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 7,458th death, a 78-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 7,459th death, an 80-year-old female from Cabell County. The 7,460th death, a 64-year-old male from Taylor County. The 7,461st death, a 67-year-old female from Wyoming County. The 7,462nd death, a 91-year-old male from Brooke County. The 7,463rd death, a 72-year-old female from Mercer County. The 7,464th death, a 45-year-old female from Mercer County. That's really sad. They're all sad. The 7,465th death, a 97-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 7,466th death, a 96-year-old female from Jefferson County. The 7,467th death, a 70-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,468th death, a 73-year-old female from Taylor County. The 7,469th death, a 72-year-old female from Monongahela County. The 7,470th death in West Virginia is a 99-year-old female from Raleigh County. Bless her soul. Bless all of them. They need your prayers. They need to not feel alone. All their loved ones. Active cases, 903. New positive cases in the last 24 hours, 249. Daily positivity rate, 10.96. Cumulative rate, 8.56. Recovered cases are 595,735. 186 hospitalized, 41 in the ICU units, and 16 on ventilators. You can see most of our counties continue to be green, a few yellow. That surely looks a heck of a lot better than where it was before. I remind you again about your Omicron booster shot. It's getting colder. We're going to end up inside a lot. Absolutely, without any question, think really, really hard about getting that booster shot. The numbers still continue to get a little better, slow but sure. All the stuff on the vaccine calculator that will give you a reminder of when to get your shots and everything, all you got to do is go on our website and we'll help you be able to get registered. All the information on our COVID-19 vaccine hotline or info line is up on our website. 55 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities, none in our church community. We're down to 17 inmate cases and 9 staff cases in corrections. Got to think that's good work by a lot of people there. Homeowners Assistance Program is still up and it's still available to you. It's very, very significant dollars. If you're a homeowner, please call us and see if we can possibly get you registered and everything for benefits. If you're hurting in any way, please call us. I've told you over and over about giving blood. Check with your physician. It's something that would be really great to do if your physician okays and go forward. From the standpoint of the Amendment 2 conversations that we're having in different communities today, I'll be in Point Pleasant, and I encourage you to come and join me and ask your questions or whatever like that. I'll give you my 2 cents as far as what I think we have at stake here and what and everything that's going on. This morning I submitted a request to President Biden and FEMA for presidential disaster declaration in the state of West Virginia due to the severe weather and all the flooding that we've had from July the 12th to August the 15th. In these counties, Doddridge, Fayette, Jackson, Kanawha, McDowell, Mingo, and Wyoming counties. And with all these disasters, surely we've directed all of our state agencies to help folks in the state of West Virginia in every way we possibly can to get back to some level of normalcy. I hope that President Biden and FEMA will go along and agree and approve our request as quickly as possible and everything, because it could sure help a lot of folks here in West Virginia. I have not let out my press release on this, but it'll go out today and everything. It's in regard to a new trout stocking that we'll be doing, or maybe a modification to trout stocking that we'll be doing from October the 17th till October the 24th. This is in conjunction with our regular fall trout stocking, but this is going to be a monster trout stocking program. And these fish are really big, and it could be a real opportunity for you to catch a great big trout in the state of West Virginia. And as a lifetime angler and everything, I don't know how it gets any more exciting than that. The colors in this incredible state right now will just blow you away. It will absolutely touch your soul. But during this week of October the 17th to the 24th, the West Virginia Department of Natural Resources will stock 40 lakes and streams with 30,000 trout, 2,500 of which will be trophy-sized trout. The 2,500 trophy-sized trout, 250 of those trout will be tagged, and there'll be a special prize and everything if you're able to catch one of those great big fish. Submit your picture and everything. We'll be giving you commemorative hats and a certificate and everything of that accomplishment. And all that is available to all of our anglers. If you're 15 and above, you're required to have a fishing license and a trout stamp. And we want this to go out to everyone. I think there's 160 different retail locations where you can go online, or you can go online with wvfish.com and get your license and everything. But I hope many from out of state, come and purchase their license in West Virginia, help us out on that side, but enjoy this incredible experience and really maybe encounter an absolute gigantic trout. So that would be really fun, really fun. And last thing I have is just the obvious. Just look outdoors and look around. The colors are spectacular beyond belief. I think that was Cranberry River that we just saw there just a second ago. But just look at what you're seeing now on the screen, and if that doesn't touch your soul, if that absolutely doesn't make you really proud, I don't know what does. If you're from West Virginia, so please get out, enjoy all this. Secretary Ruby and our tourism department are just standing with open arms, waiting for you to come and see how beautiful our state is in every way. I guess from the standpoint that let me make sure that I've got this right, but colors in Nicholas, Lewis, Clay, and Braxton counties are currently at a 70% level, as to peak. Colors in Tucker and Pocahontas counties are still both stunning beyond belief and everything. I was in Elkins at the Forest Festival last Saturday. On the way home, coming through Pocahontas County, it was unflat believable. And so with all that being said, get out and let West Virginia touch your soul and see God showing off. I mean, that's really and truly what's really going on right now. The good Lord above is showing off right now in West Virginia and just showing how powerful His beauty is to all of us. So get out and enjoy. Please do.
All right. Thank you, Governor. Let's now go to Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar. Well, good morning. As the governor has read the names of those who have passed from COVID-19 again this morning, we're reminded of the importance of making sure that we are caring for ourselves, and by doing that, we care for all West Virginians. There is a lot of information that is starting to accumulate in Europe, particularly, that suggests that a new form of COVID-19, a form that is a variant of the BA5, a form of Omicron called BQ1.1, is now gaining more activity in Europe, and we're starting to see that in the United States as well. And the last time I was on the press brief, we pointed out that the beneficial growth and immune escape of this new variant, the BQ1.1, is about the same as BA5 had over BA2, and about the same as the Delta variant had over the Alpha variant. Remember, the Delta variant was from India, Alpha from the UK. So we can expect this variant to continue to grow. And we know that this variant is a descendant of the Omicron BA5 variant. So it makes it even more important for us to consider getting the new Omicron booster shot as soon as you are eligible. And General Hoyer will talk about information related to the vaccine calculator. Good news is that the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control both approved the new Omicron booster shot for children as young as 5 years old who've gotten their primary series, who've already gotten their first shots. And any child over 5 or over can get the Pfizer shot and the new Pfizer Omicron booster shot. And any child 6 or older who's gotten the primary series, the first 2 shots, is eligible for the Moderna booster shot or the Pfizer booster shot. So we would encourage people to go to the vaccine calculator, both for yourself, but within the next 24 hours, we will have updated the vaccine calculator to also make sure that your children 5 years old or over who might be eligible for the new Omicron booster shot will have that opportunity. The other thing that's important is there's a big study from Scotland that looked at about 30,000 people that had COVID and about 60,000 people that didn't. And they found that 1 in 5 people in Scotland who had COVID still had symptoms in the next 4 to 6 months after, about 1 out of 5 people, about 20%, had symptoms that were persistent even at the end of the study, did not resolve. And about 40% of people, about 4 out of 10, had symptoms that maintained for 4 to 6 months after their COVID was over. And these are people with mild COVID. And this study also found that getting up-to-date COVID booster shots reduced the risk of developing these symptoms, even if you got COVID, by about half. And they identified the most important problems that predispose people to the long COVID symptoms, particularly the ones that didn't resolve very well. Listing 5 more medical illnesses, was to be over 80 years old, was to have a pre-existing neurological disease or kidney disease. And the other thing that's really important, and this is a separate study, but in America, more Americans 45 and under have been treated with a life-saving antiviral agent, Paxlovid, if they develop COVID, than people over 85, which we know are the very highest people in our country who are at risk of dying of COVID-19. And so we really also need to make a concerted effort to make sure that we are not scared of prescribing Paxlovid for people who are older, because we know that the risk-benefit ratio, the benefit of giving Paxlovid way outweighs the risk for people that are older. And we're definitely underutilizing that particular treatment in our country. if you get symptoms and you test yourself and you're positive, please reach out immediately to your care provider to look at getting Paxlovid, particularly if you're over 50 years old, which again is the age that is the highest group of people over 50 that die and get sick with COVID from complications of COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Marsh. Next to retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
Good morning. I'd like to reinforce a couple of important points that both the governor and Dr. Marsh pointed out. First, it is exceptionally important that we continue to press to the message of getting vaccinated, both first dose and the boosters. And we continue to have West Virginians every day getting a first dose. So the governor's effort and our team effort to message to people the importance of the vaccine does continue to work. So we will keep pressing that under his direction. Second is that, as Dr. Marsh pointed out, ages 5 to 11 are now open for the vaccine, and the calculator, as he mentioned, will be updated in the next 24 hours. If you have questions in the meantime, please reach out to the info hotline, 1-833-734-0965, and they will work to help you, to help your children with the important vaccine information. As I pointed out, we are continuing to see an uptake in Omicron boosters. Right now, about 19% of West Virginians over the age of 65 have received their Omicron booster. We know that while that may be ahead of some national numbers, that's not where we need to be from a West Virginia public health perspective. So we will continue to press, particularly for our population over 65, to get those vaccines. As you recall, the numbers of age numbers that the governor read of 20 West Virginians we lost, they are primarily older West Virginians who are vulnerable to this. The other thing is that important, and we are watching at the governor's direction, is not just as we go into fall, the Omicron and other variant issues, but that's now going to be combined with flu season. As Dr. Marsh pointed out, flu season in Australia, which is kind of a mirror for us, was not good. And in talking to a hospital administrator this morning, the concern that we have amongst our hospitals is that combination of Omicron and flu and the challenges and the stress that is going to put on our system. So please go out and get vaccinated. If you haven't had your flu vaccine before Halloween, you're going to be behind schedule and behind the time. So please think about both Omicron booster and flu vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Anamjad is also joining us today and is available for questions. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. My question is for General Hoyer. With the additional concern about flu season that you were just talking about, does that revise any of those metrics, the daily hospital intakes or our overall COVID care numbers? Does that change the calculus there? Thank you.
General, please.
Yes, sir, Governor. Yeah, Charles, actually it does, and we're running through numbers now. It is clearly going to adjust that number down below that 500 number that we've been paying attention to. Today's number on Omicron was 187. So still in a manageable range, but you are absolutely correct. As we get into, as Governor pointed out, colder weather, winter, and a combination of flu and Omicron, those numbers will adjust, and we'll talk about those next week.
Thanks, Charles. Next to Brad McElhenney with West Virginia Metro News.
Oh, hey, guys, I want to report that I got my booster a couple days ago, and I was knocked out yesterday, buddy, but I'm glad I did it. Hey, Governor, I want to ask you about Amendment 4, which doesn't get as much attention. You've spoken a lot recently about elected representatives being influenced by the swamp. Amendment 4 on the ballot this fall would give elected lawmakers the oversight of rules and guidelines for the State Department of Education. Right now, that responsibility lies with the State Board of Education, whose members you appoint. Do you have a clear opinion on Amendment 4 like you do on Amendment 2? Thank you.
Well, I've got an opinion, Brad. I don't know if it's nearly as clear or maybe that I can, articulate. I feel very, very strongly about Amendment 2, and we've been through that bunches of times. As far as Amendment 4, here's my whole thinking. We're not California, and really our educators, or the folks in our education department, whether it be our board or superintendent or whomever it may be, for the most part, these are really, well, in every way, these are really good people, and they're grounded, and their thoughts are sound and solid as they can be. Now, but on the other hand, I guess we really don't know what we're going to run into and who's going to be elected, who's going to be appointed, whatever may come about. So from that standpoint, given some level of oversight from the standpoint to our legislatures, who are good and solid and wise and everything and hopeful, in that way, we sure don't want to have situations to where basically what's going on in a California where you've got rogue people in departments of education that are coming up with ideas that are subjecting children, to things that we would not want our children subjected to. Now, whatever they may be, there are real issues that are going on across this country in lots of different places, and so from that standpoint, I guess what I've given you is the answer that I think that voters should hear from me. From my standpoint, I don't have any problem with an oversight from the legislature's side, from the standpoint of just in case we get into a situation where people are doing things that are just off the chart. But from the standpoint of really what our education folks do every day, they're doing a dadgum good job. And so that's, I guess really that's where we are right now. And I don't know how to explain it any better.
All right, thank you, Brad. Next, we'll go to Stephen Allen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yeah, Steve Adams here with Ogden Newspapers. Obviously, you had the big announcement about the vehicle tax rebate earlier this week. I think most of the reporters have had time now to read the draft bill, and it would appear it's really more of a tax credit against personal income taxes, corporate net income taxes, and there are some caveats there. If you are late paying your bill or to the counties, then it looks to me like you wouldn't be eligible for that. There are some concerns that have been brought up. I had a conversation with Senate Finance Committee Chairman Eric Tarr yesterday that raised the possibility that of situations where counties may be inclined to raise or lift the assessment on vehicles, which would obviously in turn cost the state additional money to pay out those particular not assessments, but what they pay. Also, the possibility that this refund or rebate could also be considered taxable income on the federal level, and then you don't really get the full value of that rebate. I didn't know if you wanted to address any of those particular issues, and more importantly, I think the issue is why this plan specifically is better to do it this way versus the Senate and some Republican plans to just eliminate the tax wholesale altogether. Thank you.
Okay, Stephen. I don't. You know me. I'm really blunt, and I just speak in common talk. And the bottom line of the whole thing is the proponents of Amendment 2, the way they were couching the whole issue, got caught, didn't they? They just got caught. At the end of the day, they're telling everybody over and over, you know, vote for Amendment 2 and get rid of your car tax. Vote for Amendment 2 and get rid of your car tax. When really, at the end of the day, what they wanted you to do is vote for Amendment 2 so they could get rid of your machinery and inventory tax that didn't have anything to do with the car tax at all. They got caught. They just flat got caught. Now, they're scurrying in every direction known to man, and they're coming up with every hypothetical that's out there that's off the chart. Tomorrow, we could, if they would tell me they're ready to go, tomorrow we could get rid of the car tax and rebate people back their money. I mean, from the standpoint of, we'd have to do it in that mechanism, but we could do it tomorrow. And if you'll listen to the Secretary of Revenue, Dave Hardy, it could be expedited because he says 80% of them are, you know, is done electronically, and it could be done in a matter of just maybe in minutes. But the idea of, oh, that this is going to take forever to get your rebate back and everything, that's just more just ground fodder. You know, that's nowhere close to being represented in a true way. Now, here's the whole thing. Now the car tax is off the table. You're going to get your car tax taken, you know, to where you do not have to pay your car tax. That's off the table now. Now, really, your vote on Amendment 2 comes down to just this. Do you really want to give up local control and have Charleston take over all your control? Do you really want to pass on the possibility of getting rid of some of your personal income tax that could put dollars right in your pocket and give those benefits to possibly very big corporations that are doing very, very, very well right now? And are you willing to do that and basically really just turn your back on the fact that really if things do go a little astray, and things will happen as we go forward, and if we get upside down just a little bit, who's going to suffer? It's going to be our seniors and the schools and the firemen and the policemen and all those people, because things happen along the way. And if things happen along the way, whether it be inflation or PEIA or maybe Medicaid or whatever, you know, calls for demands on government, at that point in time, you're basically standing there, as all counties would, saying, can you please give us our money where we can fund our county, and there's not enough to give. And when there's not enough to give, then absolutely you're going to have to make real cuts across the board to the counties. So, from the standpoint of now that the car tax is out of the way, the car tax is totally out of the way. Now, we can make up things and say all kinds of stuff like, it's going to take you 9 hours to get your car tax money back. Well, I mean, would you really rather change the whole Constitution, give all the control to Charleston, take away local control from the counties, run a great big risk and give great big benefits to gigantic corporations? Would you rather do that? Or would you rather take the 9 minutes and not have to do any of the other stuff and absolutely be whole? And would you rather have a real discussion on something that would really drive growth to West Virginia? And that is get on a pathway of getting your personal income tax gone. At the end of the day, absolutely, I'm going to continue to stand rock solid for Toby and Edith, the people that brung us here, the people that are getting their dinner bucket and going to work every day. Now your car tax is off the table. Toby and Edith are not going to have to pay their car tax. That's all there is to it. Now, it may have to be done in a way to where they pay it and they get the money right back. Dollar for dollar, cent for cent. Everybody, even if you don't pay income tax at all, you get a complete rebate check for your car tax. Now, with all that being said, would you rather now that the car tax issue is gone, and what is so bewildering of all to me is we even crafted our ads, the Senate and whomever, the powers to be crafted ads saying, vote for Amendment 2 and get rid of your car tax. And now Jim Justice is saying he's standing for people getting rid of your car tax. Really and truly, what's being said from the Senate now is we don't stand for people getting their car tax. We wanted a machinery and inventory tax. That's really basically what they're saying. And they're saying that it's going to take you a while to get a rebate check. You know, and they're basically saying anything and everything because, like I've said so many times, like it or not like it, the worst thing that can happen to legislatures or elected officials is they get influenced by lobbyists that are passing out campaign donations or whatever, influenced by the promise of supporting the next election, influenced. Basically, that's what the swamp is. And then they get themselves wedded to a cause. Well, the weddedness now is to the machinery and inventory tax. It never had anything to do with your car tax, and I knew it. I took it off the table. From the standpoint of where I stand, I have on day one stood over and over and over saying, I'd absolutely be in favor of getting rid of your car tax. But let's get on a pathway of putting additional monies right back into the people's pockets. If the people have the money, they'll spend their money and they'll spend it here. If the big giant corporations who knows where they're located have the money, is that going to help the people of West Virginia? I mean, Stephen, listen, I just didn't roll off the pickle truck yesterday. I mean, for crying out loud, this is as simple as just this. I've known from day one their ads were hoodwinking West Virginians. Their ads of saying, get rid of your car tax, vote for Amendment 2. They never cared about your car tax. They never cared about that. They want something else. And at the end of the day, that's not right. It's just plain not right. So it's easy for me to tell you where I stand. You know, I stand wholeheartedly right now. Get rid of your car tax would be great. You know, we'll make that so easy it's unbelievable. You've got to listen to your experts and everything. The plan was put together with tax and revenue and all those people that I put out there. Without any question, it will absolutely run just as smooth as it can possibly run. And you won't have to change the Constitution. You won't have to absolutely give up all the rights and everything that local counties have today. They won't have to give up their income stream. You won't put at risk your firemen and your policemen in the schools. You won't have to come to Charleston and beg for money every year if you're a county. It's the very reason that 53 out of 55 counties don't want to do this. It's the very reason, you know. This isn't rocket science. That's all there is to it. And all I can do is tell you how I feel about the whole thing. I never wanted to be in a food fight with the Senate. I don't want to be in a food fight at all with the Senate. I've stood over and over and over saying, let's just compromise and work this out. Let's figure a way that is really good for our people to just work this out. There has been no compromise. There's been no offer of compromise. None. Because they're wedded to this. They don't like it being called the swamp, but that is exactly what it is. It's elected officials that have been influenced by whatever the situation may be, and big business is driving the show right now. Now, they've made promises they can't get away from. You know, The only promise I've ever made is to Toby and Edith. And that's what I've done. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. And at the end of the day, I've said it over and over, and I'll do exactly just this. I won't do what they're suggesting to do. You know, at the end of the day, if our people know and they vote for this, I'll be as respectful as I can possibly be. We'll move forward. We'll continue to try to help West Virginians in every way. Absolutely. We're going to be okay for a while. But we should be thinking first and foremost about our kids. We can get rid of our car tax. That's off the table. That's off the table right now in every way. There's no way, there's no chance on this planet that no matter what happens, that our legislature, whether it be rebate or whatever, our legislature will allow you to continue on now that we have a mechanism of rebate to get rid of your car tax. There's no way. For crying out loud, you would absolutely make sure that not a one of them ever again got elected. Absolutely, your car tax is gone. Vote on Amendment 2 if you want counties to lose control and Charleston to take care of everything you do. Vote for Amendment 2 if you believe that. Vote for Amendment 2 if you believe that the personal income tax doesn't have anything to do with anything. And if you don't listen to me, I'm telling you, I have never had a company yet come to me and say, I'll only come to West Virginia if you get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. None. Zero. Zero. And people are coming and they're coming and they're coming. I really believe that people are really hurting. I believe that they're probably going to be hurting worse as the cold weather comes. I believe that gas prices could very well continue to go up. I believe that there's a real live chance that something really bad could happen in Ukraine. Putin is nutty, and if a nuclear weapon would go off over there, think what would happen. Think what would happen. And I don't mean to scare anybody, but the very first thing that would happen is the stock market would drop to 10,000. And if that happened, then really and truly, things that we have here that are dear to our heart, our rainy day fund and everything else, all of a sudden the earnings from our rainy day fund that keeps us propped up and everything would just go zhoosh. People's 401ks would go zhoosh. All that would happen, just boom. Now, and if it happened that way, then in order to keep our bonds from being derated and everything, we're going to have to put money in rainy day. We're going to have to do a lot of things that we're not doing today. At the end of the day, if we do this and we take and we do this, the machinery and inventory stuff in front of the personal income tax and all that, if we do that, we could awaken to a situation tomorrow to where we have obligations to counties and we can't fulfill that. And then we got to cut. And then a lot of these same legislatures, you know what they'll do? They'll come to you and say, well, you got a bunch of waste in the county and that's why we're having to cut. Well, let me tell you, West Virginia is doing dadgum good right now. And we don't need to blow our own legs off. I don't need a food fight. I don't need that at all. But I do need, because I believe it in my soul in every way. You may like hearing this, you may not. But I truly believe that God above made me Jim Justice for a reason. And it's not to sit on my butt when I know something's not right. That's exactly why I'm standing up for exactly what this situation right here. A vote on Amendment 2, a vote for Amendment 2, considering the situation that we're in right now, would be very, very risky and unwise in my book.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Governor, back to you.
Okay, let me switch channels real quick and just say this. Dr. Marsh, our coronavirus czar and superstars beyond belief, Dr. Amjad, General Hoyer, they're all on with us today and everything. He said to us loud and clear. He said there was a study done in Scotland and please dial in just 1 second and listen to me. He said a study done in Scotland with 30,000 folks, I think is what he said. I always try to pay attention and everything, and I think he said that 60% of those folks that are still having some level of symptoms, some, long COVID or whatever it may be, some kinds of symptoms that aren't going away, they're still not going away. 60% of these 30,000 that had COVID. Now, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what in the world we are waiting on about getting an Omicron booster shot or getting your first vaccine. General Hoyer then came in and told us that there's still people every day in West Virginia getting their first vaccination. Well, it's hard to measure how much a life's worth, isn't it? It's hard to measure if it's 3 or 18 or 1,000. How much is that worth? How much is one worth? And so we continue to try to tell you that we think the vaccines are very safe, and we know that the probability of hospitalization or death if you're vaccinated is multiples, less than if you're not. So every day, General Hoyer's saying somebody else comes and gets their first shots. And sure to God above, a whole bunch are coming now and getting their booster. We want more, but a whole bunch are coming right now. He also brought up another point that we should all be aware of is this flu season. And I think he was talking about Australia and said, that their flu season had been pretty daggum tough. And everybody, all the experts are telling us the probability of the flu season this year can be really pretty tough. So get your flu shot. I mean, come on. Just get your flu shot. We really encourage you to get your boosters, and we absolutely encourage you also to get your first vaccinations. We will always be respectful. I will always be respectful of the fact that all of us have our freedoms, and that's what's made us great in many ways. But absolutely, we've got to find a way to live with this, don't we? And right now, as has been for a good while, and thank God for it, because think of all the panic over some way, somehow, or when are we going to get the vaccines? And we have to give President Trump so much credit. I mean, they did that. The warp speed deal that they put together was truly warp speed. And they got it out, and they got it out so fast, and it saved who knows how many. Could have been millions of lives all across the globe. With all that being said, oftentimes we don't give him nearly the credit that we should, and that's a big-time mistake on our part. But with that being said, I'll leave you today with just this. Please take heed. Really, the ammo we've got in the gun always comes back right now to just this. All we've really got to slow this thing down, to live with it, to give you life. All we've really got right now in so many ways is the vaccine. Please consider. Also get your flu shot.